Hey, this is Doug Jones from Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, Hellboy 1 and 2, Hocus Pocus, Pan's Labyrinth, and Falling Skies. But today, you are listening to GenreTainment.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of GenreTainment at SciFiPulseRadio.com. We're your hosts, Marx
and Julie. GenreTainment is where we talk about what's happening in the world of film, TV, books, and web series. We give you interviews with writers, directors, producers, and actors in both independent and not-so-independent creations. This is episode 116, and we are chatting with Ben Edlund, the creator of the Tick TV show and comic book series.
Now, before we did this interview, I realized that Edlund is probably one of my top 10 favorite TV writers right now. Not only did he bring us the first incarnation of the live-action Tick TV series in 2001,
which was awesome,
but he's also written many excellent episodes from TV shows like Supernatural, Firefly, Angel, Revolution, and Gotham.
And now he has created a pilot for a new version of a live-action Tick TV series, which is on Amazon. Now you can go to watch it right now for free and vote for it to be turned into a full season and hopefully many more seasons past that. So, listeners, go watch it and vote for the Tick.
Yeah, The Tick's always one of those TV shows on like any list I think of for a show that ended too soon.
Yes, and really was not treated fairly.
Yeah,
Just saying.
Yeah. And so it's awesome to see Amazon giving Ben Edlund a second chance at a live-action series. We get to talk with Ben about his plans for the show and how different from the first incarnation and so much more.
Now, we did have a bit of an odd delay, technical difficulties, during the conversation, which made for some confusion at times. But thankfully, we were able to get Ben Edlund back. He was a wonderful, wonderful interviewee and a lot of fun to talk to and very informative. So before we get started with the interview, we should point out that the music you just heard at the beginning of the show was a snippet from the theme song for our web series, Reality on Demand. It was a song composed and performed by our friend T. Sean Hardy, and you can find our web series at realityondemandseries.com. Now let's get started with our interview with Ben Edlund. Spoon!
All right. Well, we're big fans of yours and of the Tick, so we're really anxious to learn more about it, about this new incarnation of the series.
Great.
So let's get started. So how does this incarnation of the live-action series differ from the previous one?
Which we loved, by the way.
Oh, cool. In many ways, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's very obviously similar. It has a big blue man at the center of it. I'd say, there were very important departures to be made in terms of tone and in terms of story from the previous live action to now. Tonally, it just became apparent to me, living with that live action show for the last 15 years, that my equivalent is it's like my example is there's the Naked Gun movie series with Leslie Nielsen, the Zucker Brothers series. When they made that a TV show, when it was Police Squad, there was something about that show that was impossible to watch for more episodes than it was on the air. I think it ran for 6 episodes, and it was so joke forward and so humor intensive, like Airplane or like The Naked Gun, that there was no room to breathe its own story or to care about its characters or to build into the plight of the characters. It left you nowhere to go in the 7th episode or the 8th or the 10th or the 14th or the 50th. And that was something that the Tick previous live action, I think it was beautiful in its way and had great cast, and Patrick's amazing and all the supporting folks are amazing, and we wrote our asses off to try and be funny about superheroes, but it was not a story that you could get into and care about, and that's the crucial difference, and that's what required the most re-engineering or new engineering for this new thing.
I don't know. We still are always quoting it, and we always talk. I get migraines, and I'm like, shh, you'll make the brain baby kick.
Awesome! Yeah, the worst candy ever. no, it's full of stuff, and I want that. I want, the richness of language and quotable things. Yeah, who puts gum on a roof? A secret message from my teeth. That's not going to go away. It's just that where the previous version just sort of started the show and said, okay, let's turn on the faucet. And then at the end of 22 minutes, we'll shut off the faucet of this humor. What I want now is an integrated story universe that is the only humorous superhero universe that you're licensed to care about. You have to
are
be
you
licensed
saying there's
to care
going to
about
be more overarching story, or like not so much episodic, but okay.
Well, I mean, in a way, it'll be a combination of both. In that, I don't want it to. It's not like a lot of these shows get one storyline caught in their teeth, and then it's just us versus them for whatever episodes. That's not what this will be. It's just that there are deep, overarching storylines and an overarching purpose for the show. I have a 5-year plan. I have a novel I want to write on TV screens about the dumbest subject ever.
Well, you have two people here who will be with you all 5 years.
Cool. I mean, that's what I think it could be fun. Now there's such good visual effects and such achievable artistry. I mean, like to have a toy box like that and be able to just have fun with what is otherwise choking us. I mean, the superhero saturation is beyond. It's sort of like Trump's election. It's beyond funny.
Yeah, but the difference with that is you can't write that shit. No, sorry.
Well, it's so crazy, though, right? I mean, like this. Did you ever imagine we would have this amount of superhero saturation, this number of
it's
ruminations?
very much like when Westerns really swept television and movies for, an era, and just about everything, was in Western. I mean, you mentioned, you mentioned, oh, sorry, go ahead. The delay's killing me.
Just that is actually true. Because you can't, there aren't the sub-trends that we marked before this, which you might call, there was a vampire trend that was pretty powerful, there was a zombie trend that felt pretty, forceful. They're nothing compared to this. This is the zeitgeist wearing a cape, and
Captain Zeitgeist.
Prior to that, it was Westerns. So what was the cultural communal expression of the Western that we could not get out of our heads? It probably had something to do with wish fulfillment fantasy of, could we just forget the World War II thing? Go back to our own personal frontier. And also, what is the cowboy but this lone wounded man? Yeah. He's a lone wounded man. And what was the male presence post-World War II? It was the undiscussed woundings, that separated all men from their families. All that shit had to be processed. So what are we processing now that makes superheroes the color beige?
That's a very good question, actually. You didn't mention about, you kind of started to touch on this, about the difference between, you said that so much is available now in terms of
visual effects.
Yeah, visual effects. And, the animated series and the comic book had no budget concerns, really, when it comes to bringing the story to life. I know there are, but you can really draw a bunch of crazy crap, What challenges have you faced in bringing this world to the live-action arena?
Oh, every single one. All of them. The costumes are mind-blowingly expensive.
And comfortable, I'm sure.
What's that?
And very comfortable, I'm sure. I say sarcastically.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, does that rubber ever breathe? No, it doesn't. It doesn't ever breathe. I think many things are achievable. Many things that were very difficult are effortless practically. And so there are things like backgrounds, and I mean a lot of things that allow you to do things that would be. There's a lot that's achievable. It's still very expensive, but I do feel like the proper choices per episode can be made to really, because I think a lot of times we get caught up in these patterns of like where the visual effects are coming. You're going to need, it's a superhero thing, then we're going to have a bunch of super special effects that are based around the combat. We did some of that, but really where I spent most of my special effects money in the pilot was like blowing an asteroid up over Siberia, or like having a jet full of jingoistic heroes crash on a guy. Just weird. I think I'm rambling right now, but
like
ultimately,
a chaw on the moon, maybe a bite on the moon, chaw.
Will we ever see a live action? Chairface Chippendale. Will we ever see a live action version of him in series?
That's a good question. Not in the first season, that's for sure. I would say that it's possible, but that becomes a question of what is this universe? Like, I want weird-ass things to happen. Weirder in this universe than allowable in any other superhero universe in live action. Because
of course, you're
what
Ben
we
Edlund.
really know about superhero culture is it gets... What's that?
I said, well, of course it'll be weirder than anything. You're Ben Edlund.
Yes. We've got that going for us. I get that every morning by waking up. So that much is free. And then the visual effects will be costly.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's not that they don't cost money. It's just that they're so beautiful and effective that you really, with the right engineering, can approach some vistas and some breadth of imagination that, might parallel the comic books and the cartoons. It's just, I don't know if you remember Green Acres, but they had a way of making jokes that were special effects. They had a pig that was sentient, and they had a crazy guy who would who would invent paint that could change colors. And I think a lot of the shit that we're going to get away with is going to be conceptual and then supported by elegant touches of technology, such as we can marshal today.
Interesting.
Now, was there any attempt to have any of the original cast return, or was that really never on the table?
Because we loved them, by the way.
I'm sure we'll love the new people, too.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, initially we went around with Patrick. It was me, Patrick, and Betty Josephson, Patrick Warburton. And he's still a producer on the show, and he is going to be in our show, collectively our show, including his. But what we came to find over the 3-year development period with Amazon is that what I was starting to talk about, what we were all starting to talk about, was so profoundly a new thing, and so profoundly the new era's iteration of this thing, that it was confusing to its intent to have a vestige of the old thing as its core. That is, that Patrick has made an indelible, permanent impression as the Tick, and people love that. I do too. But this is a new version, and he's going to be in it, but he's going to play a character who's a commentary on his reality as it relates to the Tick.
That's great. So what is the difference in, what different take on the Tick does the actor, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Peter Serafinowicz? Did I say that right?
Peter Serafinowicz, yeah.
I was close.
It ends. I'm sorry. I was just going to say that it ends like sandwich.
Okay, Serafinowicz.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Too far off. What different take on the Tick does actor Peter Serafinowicz give compared to Patrick Warburton?
There's a through line that I feel is a kind of a connection that they all share. I think Townsend Coleman, who did the cartoon, Patrick Warburton, and Peter, they have a kind of a shared continent of powerful voice, ability to present larger-than-life dialogue in a way that somehow you just feel like they own it. And then each one has a different kind of expression of those things. I mean, I feel like with Patrick, we felt an incredible intensity of his joie de vivre and a sense of like a childlike wonder, you know? And that exists with all these versions. I think one of the things that Peter has brought to it, and that's partly in the writing, but it's also just in his sort of the span of comedic strength that he has. He's dangerous. The Tick is dangerous. He's a little dangerous to Arthur. He's a little potentially dangerous to what you might call reliable narration. Like he's arguably a parasitic figure. In every iteration, he meets Arthur, moves in, and never moves out. He never pays rent. He never actually asks Arthur what he wants after he meets him.
He's sort of like a Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory.
Really, yes. He is a very, it's a questionable, figure. And it's, the show generally has had such, it's always been kind of in love with the Tick and just let all the other figures fall where they may. That's still kind of the case, but like here at least the show sort of looks at it and Peter helps us with this. Sometimes you're not sure if he just might eat Arthur. You might love him so much you might just eat him or something.
You know, I mean, it is a
exactly. There's something to me, and this was something that was very much alive in the cartoon, and in some ways in the not in the cartoon, in the comic book. It was very much alive in the comic book, and the cartoon was a sort of a process of freeing itself from a little bit of the danger that was cultivated in the comic book, where the Tick kind of had some spectrum qualities and a feeling of like he wasn't exactly connecting with Arthur's well-being. It was a relationship that had some areas to explore in terms of how it functioned. All of that is very much alive in Peter's interpretation, and he's got an incredible sort of comedic timing and a sort of a facility of voice where it's been a great pleasure to watch him don this creature. But I do feel like one of the sort of, it's both the same and its own sort of freestanding interpretation. I am in love with Peter in a way that is, it's funny because now I have had 3 love affairs with men.
No judgment here.
Of watching, yeah, it's very platonic, really. But I mean, like ultimately, in each case, watching them kind of meld with this figure, and in each case, I feel like we've actually landed the ideal person for the job, and that's crazy because this is it's a very weird character to set out and try to cast.
I imagine. How did you and Peter kind of connect about this character?
Well, we had gone many, many different places, and we were in very much a casting frenzy that was increasing because the build time on the suit was such that we were starting to get into a crunch period. So we had to cast it in order to be able to cover the actor in the actual skin of the character. So very high pressure. His name had blown through the halls at one point, and no one can quite remember why. It didn't exactly stick. I think someone might have said something, because this happens all the time. Someone said, probably, maybe one person said not available at a time where we just moved on quickly. But then it turned out to be not true, a myth. And it's always the last place you look. Someone floated his name again, and then I had known of him and I respected his comedic strength, but did not know the depth of his power, and did not know that he's just like kind of a British comedic treasure who has done. I did not know about Look Around You, which is an incredible British comedy series that he co-created, or his own show, Peter Serafinovich's show, which ran, I think, first season, but just shows him incredibly flexible, versatile beyond belief, and just like flawless impersonations of Kevin Spacey and Michael Caine and other folks. And just, I don't know if you've seen his, he does these really amazing, he will take a section of Donald Trump doing a speech and then just re-record exactly what Donald Trump says, but with Liberace's voice. And it
oh my God.
You have to look at these. Just type in YouTube, type in Peter Serafinovich or Serafinovich Trump. And look at any of the sassy Trump. Look up sassy Trump. And it changes Trump into a hairdresser. Every one of, I mean, like a classic effeminate hairdresser with all of his gestures are not in any way masculine. It's just that no one realizes it.
No, I realize
very
it.
Peculiar.
Yeah.
You realize it. You and Peter Serafinovich. Check it out. But he is, you're already on the tip, but this will just allow you to, along with someone instead of feeling alone in the universe.
Okay. We'll definitely check it out. I'll put a link to it on the show notes too, and an article. So I will. One last question.
Yeah.
Well, one character that was in the series that I know was in the comic book, or I know there was a character kind of based on a character, was Batmanuel.
Batmanuel.
Is there going to be a version of that character in this pilot?
Will there be a Batmanuel?
Not in the pilot.
I mean?
Killing it. Because in one of the issues I had, one of the difficulties with the live action previously was it had sort of taken on the obligation to be a 4-person story too soon. I would have liked those characters, but it was like we had to shove them in there versus like, oh, here's the episode where you meet Batman. Well, he's got some problems. Looks like he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay with us. So I'm slowly introducing the world to itself, and the pilot encompasses the Tick and Arthur and the Terror and a kind of tentpole superhero of the world called Superior, and then a variety of other things, but we pretty much maxed out how much shit we could introduce in the first one. When it comes to Batman, well, that's another question again of how far I can stretch puns into the live action universe and how much and what that means. So in this world, if a guy names himself Batman, well, the rest of the universe doesn't just ignore that he did the dumbest thing in the world. That one's a little too dumb for Arthur to not go, I'm sorry, what? What's your name? Manuel. You mean like a bat and a man and then Manuel? Yes, that's exactly what you are. And then he would be probably a brain-injured man with a lot of money who doesn't realize how dumb he is. And so we'd have to just ground it one more degree and we can get away with it. But it's the requirement of the universe to treat those pieces differently and translate them, if you know what I mean.
So you're going to let them sort of organically, over the course of more than just the pilot, start to introduce these other characters and have them incorporated into their lives and the storyline, is what you're saying.
Totally. And that each one will come in with a job, be it just to be funny, but also to advance the larger themes and stories. And so I want to have all the fun I can, but I also feel like by season 3, the tolerance for that kind of pun language will increase because we will all be, comfortable in that world and trust that it has story conscience and it really means what it says and that things matter. Then we can start to have more fun if we trust that. But it can't be right out of the gate, or I think a lot of people who don't know what this is are just going to be too easy. It'll be too easy for them to write it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I, for one, am just so excited to watch this, and want to go ahead and let everyone know about where and when they can catch the new series.
Please. Yes.
Well, I was going to have you
make
do
it
that.
as
It's more
clear
fun.
as possible. Yes, for tomorrow. Yes, it premieres on Amazon Prime, and everyone, you don't have to be a member to vote. You can just tune into the website, and the banner. It's going to be pretty forcefully advertising its pilot season, which has 3 different offerings, of which The Tick is one. And I would urge everyone to watch it all the way through. That's the only way it counts. And then vote. You have to give feedback and vote afterwards, or the act of watching does not add to our potential returning as a series.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting us know about that.
So August 19th, and everyone vote so we can see some more Tick.
Yes, absolutely.
Vote yes, if you want this. If you want a piece of this.
If you want a piece of this, you got to vote. Well, it's starting to sound like an election thing again.
Yeah. And one last thing real
got the
quick.
word vote right in it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us.
Yes, thank you. And we're so excited about talking with you. We not only love the Tick, but have loved your work in Supernatural and Angel and just everything.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for helping us get the word out.
Well, thank you. It was our pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. You have a good day.
Have an excellent day.
Hi, I'm John Rogers. I created the show Leverage and wrote Transformers, and you're listening to GenreTainment.
Well, thanks to Ben for chatting with us.
And don't forget the Tick pilot premiered on Amazon just a few days ago in the US, UK, Germany, Japan, and Austria. So if you're interested in this superhero comedy, or you're a fan that wants to see a full series, then you need to hurry up. Click on over to Amazon to watch and vote on the pilot. You don't have to have an Amazon Prime account to do it.
Yes, so everyone listening, go out and vote for the Tick. Remember, your vote counts. Now, coming up in future episodes, we will be speaking with Kathy Fong Yoneda. She's the author of The Script Selling Game, a Hollywood insider's look at getting your script sold and produced. Troy DeVald, author of Reality TV, An Insider's Guide to TV's Hottest Market. Chris Fox, author of 5,000 Words Per Hour, Write Faster, Write Smarter Now, and the hit sci-fi book series, The Void Wraith Trilogy, in which he wrote the first book in 21 days.
And it's pretty good. I'm a big fan of that.
That's very impressive. And we are just warming up on a whole bunch of new episodes. But before we go, we want to remind you that you can always keep track of us by subscribing to us on iTunes or Stitcher, or by following our GenreTainment Facebook page, Marx's Twitter account, which is at Mr. Marx, our website at GenreTainment.com, or you can follow all of the shows at SciFiPulseRadio.com.
We'll be back soon with all new guests from our favorite films, TV shows, novels, and web series. GenreTainment is a production of Alien Jungle Bug Productions.
Until next time.
Spoon!
Bad monkey.